Hello, my name is Paul Zogg, and I spent 26 years in the Marines between active and reserves. Had a combat tour in Desert Storm, two in Iraq, working out of Fallujah. About 26 years in the Chicago Police Department, actually over that, over 20 years of which was spent in violent neighborhoods. And I am one of the individuals who helps run a small charity called the Chicago Police Marines. We first found out about the SGB shot back in 2021. My boss, who was Chicago Police commander at the time, found out about it, had it done. She's also a Army veteran. It worked really well for her. She let me know about it. I had it. Since that time, we've had a total of 57 individuals that have had the shot. It's worked very well for 47 and partially or not too much for the remaining 10. So we've gotten really good results off of a 20-minute shot that has very little side effects and almost no downside. If it doesn't work, then we're all in the same position we would have been before having it. The SGB shot has really helped out our guys and girls in multiple ways, basically by alleviating the symptoms of PTSI, post-traumatic stress injury. We like to use in the I instead of D. It has a function where it calms down the sympathetic nervous system. So people that suffer from PTSD have an overactive sympathetic nervous system, amygdala's kicking in, fight or flight's kicking in more frequently. It's making mountains out of molehills. It's seeing threats where threats aren't there. The symptoms from that then come in, so people might have continued anxiety, anger management issues, nightmares, difficulty sleeping, flashbacks, things of that nature. The SGB shot has done a really, really good job of alleviating those. When we come on crime scenes, for instance, it's already chaotic, it's often violent, and when we're coming on those scenes, or if you're in combat, it's the same type thing. Coming on those scenes now, we're already going to have an elevated sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, coming into it. If we're over elevated, then not only are we dealing with the chaos that's going on around us and the stressors that are coming in, but we're also dealing with our own bodies, with the sympathetic nervous system kind of pumping a little extra adrenaline there, and then we have to fight that while we're fighting through the thought process and the scenarios that we have as we're going through a regular work day. It really helps us out there because when we are on scenes or we're in incidents like that, it brings a calmness. We're able to remove one of the issues that we have, one of the factors, and now we're just back down to dealing with the environment, which is great. It's better to have to deal with one than deal with multiple assets. It has worked really well for us, and one of the things that we would really actually recommend anybody in the situation, especially first responders or veterans, getting it. It doesn't remove the individual's ability to defend oneself. It doesn't lower timing. It actually helps in no-shoot scenarios because we're a little bit calmer and you have a better sense of what's going on. So we're not making hairpin reactions, as opposed to we're able to think things through a little bit better. One of the things about having PTSD is you see the parts of the brain that deal with speaking or logical thought or self-awareness, judgment. Those can be hindered when an individual has PTSD. This kind of frees that up a little bit. So in the past, if you say you're on a radio or you're in a foot chase, you're calling out a chaotic, stressful event, you'll hear individuals are having trouble getting words out. It's not the cat that has their tongue, it's their amygdala that has their tongue. So it really helps on these scenarios being a little bit more clear, whether it's being a foot chase, calling out shots fired, etc., or kind of doing the same thing on a military endeavor where you're going through and you're communicating, doing the shoot, move, communicate scenarios. So we think that this has been a huge improvement in the lives of all of our members that have had this. Everybody from I'll just call it our group that have had this. 47 out of 57, that's actually so those are some very good results. One of the things that this kind of does with us is that it helps individuals deal with everyone around them. So if we're calmer on a scenario, we're dealing better and we're more sympathetic to the victims. We're dealing better with the witnesses, more sympathetic to their plight and what they're dealing with and what they just saw. And then it also enables us to calmly interact with the offenders, which I personally think helps out a considerable amount. And this really works better because now we're building bridges with the community when we're coming in here doing this. So now we're in a calmer state, we're able to handle things a little better, and individuals, all three groups, frequently show more positive results with this. So we're doing way better with our community interactions and the way we're dealing with everybody. And that, I think, makes a better impression of our departments in where we work, depending on, no matter, I should say, which department it is and what one's doing, it works a lot better. One of the things that we kind of found is when we're out there, we're actually seeing threats for what they are. So we're not looking at an incident, say, where you have PTSI and you're making a mountain out of a molehill, saying threats where they aren't there. This is something we're able to judge and walk through. It works well too, because now we bring that calmness home. So before, we were sitting out there and we're kind of dealing with a lot. So for instance, with myself, with the amount of time I had in the Marines and the combat tours, some of the events that I had, or people have, are like throwing a 45-pound weight in one's pack. Some of these are more like throwing, other events are more like throwing rocks in someone's pack. Well, those add up, cumulative, especially if you start adding up years, 20, 26 years, more, 5 years. You can have one traumatic event that will be like a 45-pound weight. When this shot works, and it works almost for our crew almost 75, 80% of the time, it feels like most of the weights have been pulled out of that pack and we're kind of going back to where we were, like we're walking around normally. That really, really helps out. It offers a little bit of flexibility and elasticity to us when we are in very stressful situations, because a lot of times when we come on the crime scene, the individuals, sometimes it's the victim, often witnesses, just bystanders, often not very fond of law enforcement probably to begin with, often take it out on us. And now this helps us with our reactions back to them. It also helps out a lot when we're coming home, because we're not bringing those stressors home with us. So even though we have them, we're able to take them, see them, judge them properly, and then leave them back out there without adding more weight inside the pack, or minimizing the amount of weight that we're putting in the pack. And that just makes for all around better life. If someone is suffering from anxiety, they go to bed, now they're anxious while they're going to bed, they're tired, they wake up, they're more tired because they didn't get the sleep that they needed. And then it kind of snowballs. Same thing with the other issues that everyone else has. So when you pull those off the table and people are sleeping better and people are less stressed and people are having a better work day, better home day, it's 100% all around better. Better for their lives, better for their employers, and better with everyone they deal with, whether it be co-workers or individuals out in the street that they're dealing with. We would recommend this. We would recommend this to almost any department out there. Right now, this isn't covered by most insurance. So one of the things that our small charity does is we pay for these. The price varies, but it might be around $16.50 or less, depending on what the shot is. And obviously, we've had 57 people do it. We've raised pretty good $1 for the individuals that are doing that. But it's kind of like taking one starfish and putting it back in the water. We're walking along the beach, there are 10,000 starfish, we're throwing one in, one back, one back, one back. If we had some little bit of cooperation with insurance companies, with employers, this would be a great thing to put in any department's traumatic stress injury management system. It is great, it pays dividends, and it'll pay dividends in the future by having a better, more happy employee that's able to better communicate and work in the environment that they have to deal with day in, day out after receiving some of the stressful symptoms, I'll call them, that they get from employment. And all around, I believe it would make a better department. It makes individuals have a better sense of coming into work every day calm and ready to go to work, and not dealing with some of the stressors that they already had from the past. So now it allows us to really actively work in the present, which is actually the most important part, because that's really the only time that we control. Past is something that you don't want to let weigh down. Future is something that we don't want to overly worry about, and that we have to control now to be able to control the future. So I thank everyone over at Stella, Doc Springer, and everyone else for all the work that they've done, made our lives way better. And just want to say thank everyone very much.